Right, ladies and gentlemen, my question for today. What is better than the ACEMIC ST-5 saxophone microphone? Well, the answer is 2 ST-5 saxophone microphones from ACEMIC. Yes, today we're going to be talking about this product here. This is the ACEMIC UHF wireless instrument microphone system. Yes, for saxophone in this case. And it says, notice on there, see it says saxophone, violin, and who knows whatever instruments. So they do make it for other instruments over there. And I'll try to be short and concise and straight to the point and let you know what I think about this microphone. So the big thing that really smacks you in the face when you open the container, here's the container, see that? Nice pretty little box. And note how much it looks like the Kimafun one. So the case looks like it was made in the same factory, and it even has, just like the Kimafun one, it has a like a removable thing in there. See, so you can just keep the stuff in there loosely. I like that because I can use that for other things too, even if I want to. But anyway, it keeps it nice and protected, right? So the thing that really slaps you in the face when you first open this box is the fact that there's 2 microphones and only 1 receiver. Now, let's talk about the receiver first. Firstly, I would have preferred it to be black, not white. And the funny thing is, there is one in the instruction book that is kind of black there. So maybe they do have a different kind of black receiver there. So anyway, what I got was the white one. Just as a simple on-off switch. Another thing that really noticeable is that other microphones I've reviewed recently, they have an XLR connector here, and this has a jack. So it's different. Now some people might say, oh look, it's an unbalanced jack, right? Not as good quality. But unbalanced jack is not as good quality if you've got a long cable. This has short cable, in fact no cable. So I don't think that will really make a difference. And watch this, you want to see a cool trick? Look at this. Oh, little baby one inside. Funny thing is, the little baby one is actually a balanced one, and this is an unbalanced one for some reason. But anyway, it doesn't make any difference because professionally speaking, you'd normally be using this. You stick this straight into the mixer. As I've mentioned on other videos of these kind of receivers, you know, if you got a receiver with a lid, a mixer with a lid on, and you stick this in, then this will be in the way. But you can put a little extension on or whatever with a little 90-degree angle or whatever, or even an extension with an adapter to an XLR if you want. So one thing that I found, you know, why would this be better than an XLR? Well, one thing that I've found it may be better for is if you are playing the saxophone with a DJ, which happens often nowadays to me and to many saxophonists. And sometimes in the DJ controller, they just have one little jack plug like this for the microphone. So, so that might be good for that. So anyway, I don't personally have a preference between jack or XLR. In this case, as I said, there's no wire, so it's not going to change the quality of the sound. Right, let's talk about other things. Here is a USB charger, USB-C charger, and I've found that it charges quite fast. I've tested out the charge and the discharge. I actually did perform it in public. I've used it in public already, this mic and receiver. I've played it on a beach club kind of party with a big swimming pool, and the swimming pool was about, I'd say, 40 meters to the other side of the swimming pool, and I was able to go all 40 meters to the other side of the swimming pool, direct line of sight with the receiver, and there wasn't any interference. It didn't cut off or anything. But then I later used it as well. I've actually used this microphone in real life also in a cocktail hour of a wedding. And when I also went far away, probably about 40 meters as well, if there were people in the way, a lot of people standing around drinking their cocktails and stuff, then there was, sometimes it did cut out. So this actually says it's 130 feet range, which is good. That's a big range. Again, 40 something meters. And I found that yes, it does do that as long as there's no people in the way, right? So the range is good. The receiver's good. What's great about it is the fact that you have two of these. Now, why would you want two microphones to plug into the same receiver? Well, for example, a lot of musicians like me, they actually play two instruments on the stage. I play soprano and alto saxophones. So instead of having to pull this off one and stick it on the other, you have one for each. Hey, isn't that cool? So that saves you a bit of messing, unplugging it from one saxophone and sticking it on the other. Although note that you won't be able to have two different equalizations. You know, usually each instrument needs its own equalization. You won't be able to do that because it just goes to the same receiver, right? But I've found something even better, and even better use for two mics. And you know what it is? Remember the thing that I'm most worried about having rechargeable batteries inside here, because these are rechargeable. You just plug it in. There's a USB connector. There's a USB connector, USB-C mini connectors right there if you want a closer look. So you just plug them in and they recharge, and they do recharge. I haven't actually timed it, but it seemed to me like it recharged quite fast. And by the way, I used both of those bookings that I just said, both of those performances, about 2 hours in one and 2 hours the other. So I used them for about 4 hours without recharging. And it seems like it would have gone on for longer. According to the instructions, it says about 6 hours. So that's great as well. But my worry is always, what if for some reason you didn't charge it or something and you run out in the middle of a booking and you don't have, like this one is my trusty AMT, old technology AMT microphone, which is my favorite one. And this is what I always use. And this, of course, has the old-fashioned just change the battery in it. So it's not very good for the environment, but it is good for an emergency. If you're on the stage and your saxophone microphone runs out of power, you just change the battery. You can't with these, but guess what? This has solved the problem. There's two. So rather than having one on one instrument or one on the other, maybe I would have one on each instrument, but the good thing is, if one suddenly runs out of battery, then just switch to the other one. Or if one starts having interference or something, just use the other one. You got two. Two, man. Now, talking about frequencies, well, something interesting about this is that this is actually UHF frequency. Now, this is a European one that I have. If you look on there, it's like 660 megahertz. So that's European UHF frequency. It's not the Bluetooth, you know, I think it's 2.4 gigahertz, something like that, the super high frequency. So what that means is that the connection is not as good, but it can go far, right? And that's, again, what I've found. But actually, when I've used them in real life, these microphones, I didn't find any connection issues at all. There wasn't any kind of interference or anything else. But supposedly, it's very similar to this, because this old one of AMTs that I normally use, this is UHF as well. So it's not 2.4 or whatever gigahertz. This is just UHF frequency. It's better for some things, worse in other ways. So that's something you'll need to know. I was going to talk about the channels. Supposedly there's different channels, but I haven't found how to change the channels. If you look over here, there's a set button, right? Now, not long ago, I did a review of the XVIVE microphone, and it had some buttons on that you change the channel with. The same happened with the Kimafun. And on the receiver, there's button 2, and you just press that, and you can change your channels like this. Very, very simple. You didn't have to read the instructions to change your channels. Now, I've actually read the channel changing instructions, and I don't quite understand it, because it seems like the instructions to change the channel is actually talking about this other receiver here. There. So that would be something for you to look into. If you want to get this microphone, you may want to look into that other receiver, because I'm not actually sure whether this receiver can change channels. It only has just one on and off button right there, even though this does have like a set button and who knows what else. But anyway, all I did was I switched them both on. They connected automatically, no problem. You know, both of them did. And that was it. Now, if I have any channel interference problems on the stage, again, what I would do is I'd just switch it for the other one. There we go, because they're not, they won't be transmitting on exactly the same frequency, I don't think, right? So those are my thoughts. So the channel changing thing might be an issue. It does say it has like 16 or 20 channels, but I haven't figured out. You know, I like things that work, just get out the box and it works. But as I said, I've had 2 bookings with this. I tested them this week on 2 different bookings, and no problems at all. Let's talk about the clip. The clip. See, the problem with, again, this old one of mine is the clip doesn't quite work properly. It always knocks around. In fact, I was in a booking recently, and this old microphone of mine was actually knocked off onto the floor. And it's a very expensive microphone by people running, you know, I was running inside the people in a big disco kind of dancing place, party. This one I like much better. Look at that. That's made of rubber, big strong spring there, sticks on there. It doesn't move from side to side. You can wobble, 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 wobble. That's great. And now if you look at this, notice that. That's rubber as well there. See that? Cool, cool. I've also checked blowing the mic like this, and it doesn't make hardly any noise. So that's great. I've checked the keys, and there is very slight interference with the keys, whatever you call it, key noise, more than my AMT, for example, but not as much as the Nooks one. Remember, if you remember, my problem with the Nooks microphone is the too much key noise. So this had just a little bit of key noise, but I don't think it's significant. So that's great. So key noise, it passes, clamps onto the saxophone, great. You see this rubber thing here, the rubber thing here, all eliminates a bit of the key noise. So that's great. That's a total thumbs up for that. A thumbs up for the fact that there's 2 microphones instead of 1, so you can easily switch them in any kind of emergency. What else? Of course, it comes with this charger. One of these turns into 2 of them. Instructions, as I said, and they are understandable and in a number of different languages. This is a European version I've received here, except for the part about changing the channel, because it seems like it's talking about the other receiver that's not this one, right? So there's the issues are the receiver is an issue, the channel business, changing channels is an issue. Transmission receiving is wonderful. Clip onto the microphone, wonderful. Key noise, great. No wind noise, just very, I mean, tiny bit if you just blow it like that. I tested it when I was live on stage, and that's it. So what about the sound? How does it sound? Well, what I did is I got this directly, and my old trusted AMT microphone, it's about 15 years old, and I put them both together on the saxophone and I played them so that you can hear yourself what the difference is in the sound. So let's take a listen. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously they do sound a little bit different. When I was on the stage, what I didn't like was the high notes when I was playing my soprano saxophone. The high notes sounded a little bit thin. compared to my other favorite microphone. The rest of it was okay. Now, of course, in this test you just heard, this was completely without reverb or anything. So my saxophone, my super awesome Cannonball saxophone here, even sounds crap on both microphones because there's no reverb, no kind of effects at all. It's just totally raw sound of this and this, what you've just heard. So I hope you didn't expect it to sound all wonderful or anything. The important thing is to just listen to the difference in the raw sound between one and the other. I find this is a little bit more focused than my old one, but I like the warmth of the old one more. The old one has more warmth, perhaps more definition as well. So you probably wouldn't notice those differences as much on the stage. And as I said, I did play on the stage successfully with these already. When it's got reverb on and everything else, you know, you don't notice these kind of differences in the sound. But that's why I recorded completely raw the sound just now, so that you could actually hear the difference between one and the other. So, having said that, yes, sound, me personally, I prefer the sound of my old one. Now, I haven't done a direct sound test comparison with the Nux one or the XVIVE one. I would like to do that, but I haven't had a chance. And also, for example, my XVIVE one is in America. Now I'm in Spain. So I keep moving from country to country, and I don't take all my microphones with me. I keep some in one country and some in the other. So I don't know how it compares, I'm afraid. If I need to use these, I'd use it. And what I see is a good thing for is playing for example, in a dance club. Stick this directly into the DJ's mixer. This won't get knocked off as easily. It's a proper good hard connection. Just, you wouldn't be able to go very far among the people because you'll hear interference with all the people in the way. It probably happens with the other similar microphones from Nux as well, or XVIVE. So it's very similar. They're all very similar, these products are. What else can I say? 2 microphones are better than 1. If you want to buy it, there's a link underneath here in the description. I might put links to a couple of the other ones as well, so you can check them directly, the prices. I'm not sure which is cheaper or whatever. This one's probably a bit more expensive because it has 2 microphones, but there is a version that comes with 1 microphone too. Oh, one thing that I found awesome about this is I checked when this was plugged into the mixer, I did actually see if it could charge at the same time. And yes, it was working and charging at the same time. And curiously, the same thing happened with this. This still works while it's charging. Now you might think, well, how will you do that if you're walking around? Well, if you have some kind of a battery pack on you, you can plug it in, and, you know, if you had like a 10-hour concert, you could have a battery pack on you plugged in there and walk around playing the saxophone for 10 hours. So that's just something curious about this that I found very interesting. So, yeah, another saxophone microphone to try, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, get it. Get them, try them yourselves, and let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and watch my music videos because they're cool. And have a nice day.